So if you're watching this video, maybe you're considering doing an estate plan, maybe you've just finished one and you need to do an update to it. A lot of times in our life's journey, we end up having these moments when we can do an estate plan, and the thought that comes to mind is, well, how much does it cost? And can I get it cheaper? And I really want to take this opportunity and offer you a different perspective on how to look at the value of an estate plan. What are you really paying for? So as an example, I'm going to take something from one of Zig Ziglar's publications that he gave as an example of the difference between cost and price. Now, the way Zig defined it, I believe if I'm remembering correctly, cost was the amount you pay for the item up front. But price is the amount of payments you make to maintain the item over time, right? So in his example, he was looking at buying a bike for his son. And they had a choice between the cheap store brand bike or the much more expensive Schwinn bike. They ultimately decided to go with the store brand bike because it's a kid and he didn't want to have to pay out the nose for a special bike for his kid that was expensive. Well, they bought the bike, but then they had to replace a bolt for one of the pedals, and then one of the tires went flat and they had to replace a tire. And in his story, he actually paid as much as he would have paid for the Schwinn within that first year of owning the store brand bike. His son rode it for just a few months out of that first year and then couldn't ride it the rest of the time. So he went back to the store, and guess what he did? He paid the money for the Schwinn. And he said in his recording, and this was from several decades ago, that his son was still riding that bicycle even when he went off to college, and it didn't require nearly as many repairs. Now, after hearing that story, do you see the value in paying a little more for the better bike? There were fewer repairs. There was fewer costs over time because that bike was just simply built better. Well, the same rule can apply when you're doing your estate plan or considering what attorney or firm to hire to do your estate plan. You want to find the person or the firm that's thinking about how this plan is really going to work in reality and putting in the effort and the work to make sure that what is set up for you and your loved ones is actually going to work. Let me give you an example. The other day, I was teaching a class at a church, and there was a mom who told me that her plan was simply on her will to put both of her sons together as co-executors, and even though they didn't get along, let them duke it out. If they don't figure it out then, they never will. Well, I asked her if she would allow me to give her a little bit of a different perspective. I said, what if we consider hiring a professional trustee? Maybe somebody from a bank or an insurance company or even a trust company whose job it is to act as trustee. And she responded, as many do, well, wouldn't I have to pay that person a percentage every year? And I said, well, yeah, usually it's very similar to what you would pay a financial advisor, 1 to 2% a year on whatever is invested in the trust for the work that they do as trustee. Well, that would just be a waste of money, she said. And I said, so you're going to pit your kids against each other? And what if they argue and fight to the point where they don't speak to each other again? What if having that professional trustee and paying that percentage for those years the trustee is in charge actually keeps your sons from never speaking to each other again? How valuable are the relationships in your family? Can you really put a price on that? Ultimately, I think what's best for the family is to do the thing that keeps the family together. That's what a lot of parents want for their kids and their grandkids. So why do we set up our estate plans in a way that actually pits them against each other? Why not choose or at least consider a professional trustee as an option and then take the time to ask ourselves, what would the value be that we would be purchasing if we hire a professional trustee? Ask yourself the same question when you're hiring an estate planning attorney or any other service provider. What value are you buying? In today's world, we're hit all the time with marketing and sales messages, and it's very instinctual for us to just put up our hand and push it all away, right? Not even consider it. But when it comes to the important things in life, I want to challenge you to create the space for you to just sit with an idea and consider it before you push it away. I don't want you to miss a great opportunity to keep your family together and to make sure that the future for your loved ones is the future that you want for them. So make sure you take that opportunity. This is Michelle Wilson with Wilson Legal, hoping that you see after this video the value of estate planning and the value of considering price versus cost.